Before we start, I want to say this. If you're a beauty professional or service-based business owner who's doing all the right things, but still feels like your income depends on how much you physically show up and how many hours you can squeeze into your schedule, I built my new program for you. Limitless is for the woman who wants to earn more without adding more hours, who needs clearer strategy and the energy and identity shifts that actually move the needle in your business. It is a space where you're not doing this alone and where you can ask me questions anytime. I work super closely with you inside this container alongside a like-minded community of business owners who are serious about their growth as well, but also about life. So if you're ready to grow and want support doing it properly, book a call with me. The link is in the show notes for you. Now let's get into today's episode. Welcome to the Beauty Build podcast with me, Zara King. As a coach for beauty pros, it is my mission to help you earn more, work less, and create an unstoppable mindset. This is the show where we explore all of that. So whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting your beauty business, this podcast is for you. So sit back, relax, and join us on the journey. And for more, get yourself inside my private community, The Beauty Build on Facebook. Hello, you gorgeous human you, and welcome back to another episode. Today's topic, in fact, let me be real with you. Today, I'm recording this the night before, and I don't ever usually do this, but there's been a lot going on, and let's just say I was prioritizing everything else. And yeah, here we are. It's only 8 o'clock. It's not really late. But I thought I'd quickly record an episode rather than reuse an old one because I actually love doing this kind of stuff. Sitting here, recording episodes is one of my favourite things to do. And I just need to quickly check the audio. So I'm going to pause us for 2 secs. Okay, we're going to go with this audio. The audio might sound a little bit different today, and that is because A, it is late and I'm not as loud and talking really loudly, and B, because my mic is set up in my laptop. Usually it would be in my normal big screen PC. So today it might sound a little bit different, but I really don't mind because this isn't about perfectionism. Okay, so what we're talking about today is something that came up in my world super recently. So it's all about having invested in coaching, mentorship, programs, courses, whatever it might be to grow yourself and grow your business, and it hasn't worked yet, or you don't feel massively further along yet in your journey. And I really want to talk about it because we don't talk about it enough. So I also, if you're on my email list, you will know this because I did speak about it last Friday. I had a call with a gorgeous woman the other week. She listens to the pod. So if you're listening, you know who you are. And we were talking about she had invested in something and really been burnt. And there are times when this just pains me so much because she'd really been burnt. And I just think we've also actually I've had 2 people on a call. So the other person as well I was on a call with, and they were in a container, and I've written an email about this as well. They were in a container where there was, I think it was 2 calls a month, group calls. So a lot of the time her questions weren't being answered, and then she couldn't ask questions in between inside this mastermind type thing that she was in, and she'd invested a lot of money into it, I think about 5k, and the support just wasn't enough for her. And this is where I find it gets really interesting. It's also why I've been in a lot of places for coaching, right? That sounds really terrible. It's not what I meant. I've been in a lot of places for coaching and mentorship. In fact, I still am. And it really is why I built Limitless the way I built it, because I came from one to one coaching and did a hell of a lot and still do one to one coaching. But when I first started out in the industry, that was 5 years ago. And that was the only offer that I had, was helping people one to one. And so it's a great investment for yourself because you get somebody to and from constantly all the time. And back then, I used to have calls every week. I used to have messenger access support all day long, Monday to Friday, sometimes even on the weekends. The support was insane. Nowadays, if you work with me one to one, obviously, the setup is slightly different. My standards have gotten higher, my boundaries have gotten more strict. So you've got 10 to 3 access to me in Telegram, and you've also got um, bi-weekly calls, and you have your own client portal. Way more cool, way more advanced. Um, anyway, coming from one-to-one coaching, I love helping people one-to-one, but I also love getting one-to-one support. So for me to be inside a container, and I'm going to get into this actually, but for me to be inside a container with the support isn't exactly what I want. All of those kind of things are what led me to creating Limitless the way I have. So first and foremost, Limitless is my brand new container that launched in 2026, just before like Christmas, I launched it, right? And it is an immersive group experience with elements of one to one. So it has got a weekly call for everybody. So, yes, it's group, but I give people serious time and I answer as much as I possibly can to your specific questions before we move on. I then allow people to ask questions every single day, Monday to Friday, and on the weekends, but obviously I won't get back until the Monday inside the community. Everything is in one place. You've got full curriculum with training videos in there, and that's where you ask your questions and you've got the community, and then that's where the calls happen, and it's just fucking amazing. And then we have a one-to-one halfway through to make sure you are in the best place. So it is so freaking good, and it's been built upon the things I've heard. For example, that woman and the other woman, one of them being in a mastermind and not getting the support she needed, another woman having invested and being burnt, like seriously, just not getting what she paid for, and then also not getting her money back. Fair enough. So I feel like this type of thing isn't talked about enough. And I feel like it's a massive thing in the industry, especially in the coaching industry, because I want people, put teeth back in, Zara. I want people to be happy with the coaching that they experience. And I know obviously you can never please everyone. However, I think there are a few myths and things that we can talk about today and just clear a few things up and, yeah, give you a bit more kind of confidence in your next investment, maybe, or even maybe you're inside somewhere now and it will give you a different perspective. So, first and foremost, I want to talk about the fact that, or the myth, should I say, that there is around the fact that investing is going to change everything. Like your first investment, one big investment is going to change everything for you, because it isn't. In my experience, it is not. It is more down to if it's a right fit. Okay. So that goes beyond anyone's marketing messaging. Okay, you need to watch people, you need to look, you need to ask questions. I don't ever get worried if someone jumps into my DMs and asks me 10,000 questions about my courses, programs, or coaching containers. That's okay. Like, the biggest myth is that you're going to invest this once and it's going to change everything for you. That is a huge myth. It's not. The container isn't what changes things for you, it's the way you look at things. I just want to repeat that. It is not the container that changes things for you. It is the way you look at things. And that container, if it facilitates what you need there and then you probably will do very, very, very well. Does that mean to say that you don't need to invest again? No. And this is what I want people to understand. Sometimes people think, well, I invested 5K last year and I didn't get anywhere, or I did get somewhere, but I don't want to keep investing. Well, you have to. You have to. There's always changing parts. There's always moving things. And your business will always be evolving, and so will you as a person. So guess what? Your coaching, your mentorship, whatever you want to invest in, it continues to develop. And you're always going to need somebody holding your hand. You're always going to need someone to bounce ideas off of. You're always going to need somebody that's been where you want to get to. Always. Otherwise, why on earth have I just invested again? Right? I think in the last 12 months, I've invested over 11 grand. So why do I keep doing that? Being as the fact that I'm a coach, I know most things that different coaches teach. I honestly do. That's not just me blowing my own trumpet over here. I've done a hell of a lot of fucking work. Okay? I'm a trained coach. I'm trained in NLP. I'm trained in business. It's crazy. So a lot of the things that other coaches teach, I teach them too. But I still need sounding board. I still need ongoing support. I still need advice. I still need the hand holding, the help, everything, especially when it comes down to mindset. Because my identity continues to shift, and so will yours the more you invest. So it's the best thing that you can continuously do for yourself and your business. So right now, if you do not have a budget in place for your personal development, for your growth every year, you need to start putting that into your overheads. I'll tell you that for free. So that's the first myth that I want to sort of bust, is the fact that you will continuously have to invest. And I'll be honest with you, back in the day, I used to think I'm trying to think the actual words I would have articulated it with. I think I probably would have said like, oh, I've got to invest again. I don't want to make the wrong investment decision. And I think that's the fear that comes up for everyone, is I don't want to make a mistake. And it's huge because, again, we're in such a noisy world of all of this stuff online, all of this marketing and, selling and marketing words that sometimes don't even make sense to half of us. And so you can get sucked into a lot of the bad side of the industry, and you can get burnt just like the people, which is why I'm kind of giving you this conversation as well, because I don't want you to get burnt. I don't care if you invest in me, if you invest in somebody else. What matters is that you're investing in yourself. So it doesn't matter to me if it comes my way. I really don't care. I care about you and you making the most of your investments, and not begrudging people, and not, feeling a certain way about the industry. I want to give you ideas of how to make the right decisions. And so I think it moves me on quite nicely to my next point, which is sometimes you are the problem. So there are going to be, and I thank God that I've had the best clients. I know it sounds a bit cliche, but I've had the best clients over the last 5 years. I have probably had one client that ended up pivoting completely. And so she didn't quite finish where we thought she would finish results wise, because obviously everything pivoted. Her business completely changed, and one side of it shut down type thing. But she's still very much in my world, and we still, I still very much speak to her and things like that. But sometimes you can be uncoachable. Sometimes you can be in a container expecting somebody to save you. Now, I do want to say, if you're in my world, this probably is not you, but it does happen where there are people in containers, in programs, that are expecting miracles. And unfortunately, guess what? Unless you implement, unless you put in the work on yourself and your business, it isn't going to be a magic pill. Nothing is. I don't care what they say in their marketing message. Okay. It is not going to be a magic pill. If you're not ready to implement and do the work, if you don't have time on your hands to carve out to work on your business, if you can't be disciplined, if you can't learn to be disciplined, because I teach that. When I'm with my clients, we do that. We get crystal clear on that. So they come in and they may not be quite there yet, but by week 2, we're knuckling down, right? So sometimes the person can be the problem. So let me just say, if you're looking for quick fixes, if you're looking for massive overnight successes, like in your income spiking up and things, don't get me wrong, that happens, but it generally happens to the people who have stepped into a huge quantum leap in their identity. It's that comes first. So again, that can happen. But if you're just wanting really fast results, and you know for certain that you've not done the work on yourself, it's going to take a little bit of time. It's going to take effort. It's not easy. Always say business gets to be simple, but it's not easy. So that's the first thing I wanted to get out of the way. But like I say, if you're in my world, you're probably really fucking great at what you do. And you've done a bit of mindset work. You know what I mean by journaling. You know what I mean by affirmations. You know what I mean by switching up your negative thought process and popping in some positivity. You know that basic standard level. But what you need the deeper level stuff. You need to start taking the identity shift seriously, because that's when you seriously get to step into the next level version of your business. And that's when you get to hold more and do less, actually doing less. My whole motto, my teeth aren't in tonight, sorry. My whole motto ever since 2021, since I started in this industry, was earn more, work less. Okay? Earn more, work less. And that is exactly what I still teach. I tell people it's all about alignment and expansion and living more. That is the motto. That is what I help people do. Anyway, moving on. What I would like to say is, yes, sometimes the container is not the right fit and it's been missold sometimes. Now, some coaches, you've got to give them their due. They want to get people in and they do think they can help everyone. This is the issue. Now, I don't work with just everybody. If you've been on a call with me before, you know that. I do not, or if you're a client of mine, you know that. I do not work with everybody because it would be a headache. People sell the dream. People also try to convince people to come into these dream containers. And even whichever way they're doing that, whichever way it ends up wrong, sometimes the containers aren't great for the people that they get in there. And sometimes, yes, that is the coach's fault because they've convinced you that it is, i.e. the person I spoke to on the phone the other day who got burnt, right? It wasn't the container for her, clearly. It wasn't getting her to where she needed to be. Nothing was good enough, okay? And I have been in containers myself. I've touched on this, but I want to go a little bit deeper. I've been in containers myself where you do not get any direct access to the coach. You have maybe people that work underneath the coach that do a couple of calls. You get maybe one group call a month with the coach that owns the whole thing. You don't get access to asking questions unless it's sort of like in a forum and you get just responses from the other members, not actually the coach. And you kind of, the curriculum might be quite basic. And when I say curriculum, by the way, if anyone doesn't know what I mean the video trainings that go alongside certain programs, for example, like programs that aren't just self-led, look at these videos and be done with it. Programs that do have an element of coaching and that have the videos. That's what I mean by curriculum. And so I know what it's like to have made an investment into something and then not get that access that you really want and not even be able to ask questions. I find that personally, me as a coach, personally, I find that quite difficult to get on board with. I have got, especially, let me caveat that, depending on the level of investment. I'll give you an idea of what I'm talking about. I'll just be completely transparent with you. My membership, for example, is £27 a month. Okay, cheap as chips. Now, the reason for that is because people do want a taster of what it is like to work with me. And I think that they should have full access to my curriculum because it will help them level the fuck up. It will help you get to 4-figure weeks in part-time hours, working less, earning more, right? It'll also give you a little bit of community and it'll also give you one masterclass every single month with me that you can ask questions at the end about the masterclass to help you implement it. Now, for the price, that is very good support. I'll go in weekly and keep you accountable, and I'll go in, well, twice weekly, and I'll celebrate your wins with you, and then I'm out of there again, and you guys carry on, and then I see you on the monthly call, and it's great. And you also get discount towards one-to-one strategy sprints if that's what you want, if you want a bit more private work. If you wanted to come into Limitless, again, you get a little bit of discount. So I have to caveat it with that because if that's what you're paying and you want one-to-one support, you're not going to get it. Not from me, not from any coaches. Okay. But There are containers out there where people are getting burnt that are 3K plus, and there's no element of being able to ask people questions. I don't agree. I personally do not agree, and therefore the container isn't a fit for me. So you have to, and like I said at the beginning of this, I kind of want to give you ideas on how you can decide what is right for you. Because if you came into this episode thinking, I shouldn't have, like, I only want to make one investment, do you know what I mean? And like everything will be fixed and my business will go booming forever and ever and ever and beyond. Hopefully now I've already squished that for you and you understand that this should be part of your ongoing budget. Okay. That's the first thing I wanted to give you. The second thing is this: I want to give you some sort of practical advice on what to make your decisions based on. Ask questions, be inside people's worlds long enough to understand what the container actually entails. Figure out, does it really align to the support that you think you need? And not just thinking about the support that you think you need right now in the level of business that you hold right now. Think about what you're trying to create. Okay, this is what I do with my clients. And 9 times out of 10, we realize that what they think they need isn't actually what they need when we go deeper. When we go that little bit deeper, we uncover the fact that they need X, Y, and Z more because their vision is bigger than what they thought. We uncover all sorts of things with a person's wants and needs when we do our first sessions together. We uncover that they think they want to show up one way, and actually that's because they're at this scarcity level that they're at now, and that's the person that's saying, I want this. But when I get them to break down and come from a place of who they are in a year or 6 months' time, who they are when they're at the next level, what they want is actually different. The way they want to show up is actually different. The way they dress, the way they carry themselves, like the way they show up can be a hell of a lot different to what they say on the surface level. Surface level stuff is not enough. So try and go deeper. I would actually play around with this and maybe get your journal out. Get that journal out and go a bit deeper. If you're thinking about investing in something, and ask yourself, what do I need? Like, how am I feeling? What do I need? Where do I want to be? How do I carry myself when I'm there? What energy do I need to be in when I'm there? What strategies do I want in place when I'm there? How do I want my life to feel when I'm actually there? Because scaling requires an identity shift. Okay, there is no point investing at your entry level you, kind of playing it safe you, and matching a container to that. You need to match that energy, match that vibe, match that container with where you want to be and who you want to become. I had this conversation actually literally a few days ago with the lady that just joined into Limitless. So that was cool. But what I also wanted to say is sometimes as well, this leads me on nicely because I've really touched on identity there. You have to jump into the new level of your identity because that is what needs to be held. You need to hold that level of energy to therefore create the outcomes that you have at that level. I hope that makes sense. But that moves me on nicely to the fact that there are some containers out there that, or coaching programs, whatever you want to call it, or mentorship, that are just strategy. And so that isn't going to work for anyone. However, doesn't mean that you can't go into a strategy only container. It just means that you need to get another container for your identity work. And that they need to marry up quite nicely, and that you need to have the time to implement both teachings. Okay, or you do one before the other and then you piggyback on. Because we are, and this actually is funny because my coach posted something really funny yesterday about it was like a quote above. It was a quote on an image that said, "Can you be more feminine?" And he put underneath it, "No, I'm a fan of what works." And it made me laugh because there might be, I don't know about your world, but in my world where I see a lot of things coming up online, there are a lot of coaches and people in the space talking about, be in your feminine energy. Everything will come, like just be in your feminine energy, be. And actually, we need to do as well. Without that, it's just not going to work. I'm sorry. I am one of those people that pairs the energetic work, the identity work, and I'm falling so much in love with it, even more so now, with the strategy work. And I've always been this way. When I say always, I mean I was born with this mindset stuff in me and this identity stuff in me. Obviously, it got honed when I trained. And so now it gets honed even more. The more I learn, the more I teach. But it has been in me forever. And all of my coaching programs have always had, since the very beginning, it has been strategy and energy, or mindset, if you want to call it that, or identity, if you want to call it that. But it goes deeper and deeper and deeper. So I sort of call it mindset in some aspects, and I call it identity in others, because if you're just touching the surface with mindset, like, that's good. But identity is really where it's at, and that's in my higher level containers, i.e., one-to-one private coaching or limitless. But we do a lot of mindset inside the membership as well. So if you know that you're really new to this type of thing, then the membership would really still help you with that type of thing. Anyway, my point is, strategy only containers do exist. But sometimes this is why a lot of people come to me and they say, I've been part of this membership, or I've been part of this container, and it does not work for me. This is why two people can have completely different results with the same strategy, because they're implementing it completely freaking differently, in different energy, from different levels. It's completely different. And so I really want you to understand that. So again, that's another decision for you to make, isn't it? Like, does this person do both? Do you think you need different coaches in different areas? Bear in mind, right now, I have an energetics coach, I have a strategy coach, and I also have a sales coach. So isn't it fun? It gets to be so much fun. We get to do all of this, and it is so much fun. So that just gives you an idea of where I put my money. But what we do when we work together is we work through the limitless growth cycle. Inside Limitless, this is what we do. We work on your positioning, your identity, and selling and marketing, and then scaling. So we go again, and we go back to the cycle. Your positioning again, once you scale, your identity when you scale, when you become a different version of you. And so it's a cycle. And so that is how I help you align everything to you, expand into your next level, and also do it all while you're living more, living and enjoying your life more. And like, I had a client on a call the other day, and we were doing, this is actually like ties into what I said earlier, actually. She was on a call with me the other day, and we were doing her kind of future vision. And it was completely different to what she thought it was. And she had a massive breakthrough in week 1, because what she thought she wanted was completely different to actually the growth that she does really want, and the way she really wants to show up and hold herself. So if that's the type of thing you want to talk about with me, and like how we do that, then definitely look at the description. There'll be links everywhere, and we can book a call. But the way she felt when she first came to me, i.e., this is where I want to be, and it's going to be nice, and it's going to be cozy, and I'm going to be real, and it's going to be really relatable and really nice. Now it's actually like, I'm going to be a fucking boss, and actually I'm going to show up the way I feel most confident, and the way I'm going to earn most money. And that is how we're going to show up. So yeah, there is a hell of a lot that can change in just one identity shift. So hopefully you got that memo, and hopefully this gives you a lot more to think about when it comes to your next investment. I think I'll leave it there. My teeth aren't in tonight. But yeah, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you on the next one. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and gained valuable insights that will help you in your beauty business and life. If you did, please take a screenshot and tag me in your stories. If you've got any questions or comments, please feel free to reach out to me on any of my socials. The links are always in the descriptions. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and leave us a review. Your feedback helps us improve and bring you more and more great content. Until next time, keep building that business.